Not everybody is lying. Not everybody is scheming. Not everybody has an agenda. Not everybody is looking at what they can get away with. You know what I'm saying? How they can deceive, how they can manipulate in relationship. Okay, not everybody is like that. The ideals that, we carry in our minds about relationship, a lot of it comes from propaganda, right? This is why the world card came out, because this is a worldwide type of way of thinking, keeping people trapped or keeping people seemingly trapped or keeping people blinded to the truth or the reality of harmonious relationship is when people go into relationships with the thinking that they have to be deceptive or that somebody's always trying to get them or somebody's trying to scheme them or scam them in some kind of a way. This roots back because the world card came out here. Like, I have to mention that way of thinking comes from a lot of corruption that exists in the world in terms of leaders, the leaders of certain countries, right? Who operate from that kind of agenda, and then that mindset or those ways, those qualities begin to trickle down on society and citizens, right? Because the rulers of a place set the tone, quote unquote, right? So if you grew up in an environment that was, you know, created or built up from, say, colonized minds, right? A colonizer mindset, what can I get away with? What can I have? What can I, if you grow up in that place, like that's the energy that afflicts the people. You know what I mean? We're all products of our environment. So inherently, we desire equal relationships, right? Balance in relationships. That's what the Two of Cups is here. We desire that, we want that, but we're blind to how sometimes our differences can work in our favor. We're blind to how we can have these kind of relationships without the feelings of having to be deceptive or have a strategy or be calculating. You see what I'm saying? That's not really natural. That's not natural. To be calculating and come into a relationship with an agenda, that sounds real colonizer to me, okay? But it's one thing to be and have boundaries, right? To be cautious and have boundaries, because that's what we need to do in relationships, right? Because not everybody means us well. But it's like, just because there's a reality that people do operate in this energy doesn't mean that everybody does. And I think people, it's like you become what you don't like to avoid, any betrayal. So it's like, because everybody, I feel like most people operate in this energy, I'm going to be on my toes and I'm going to have an agenda, or, I'm going to strategize and be calculated in my relationships. But then you come across somebody who's not like that, who does want equal reciprocity or equal give and take or balance in the relationship. You come across somebody who's moving genuinely and you sabotage that relationship because you were moving funny off instinct. You move like that because of you being a product of your environment. Okay, I'm gonna pull one more card. Okay, just to get a little more insight here to who this message is, because I feel like this is like a collective awakening or reckoning. Like, I don't think I've ever done a reading or posted a reading about something societal rated or related. Excuse me. So. Yeah, like maybe this is just a message for somebody to understand where that comes from. Like, you've been afflicted in your mind based on your environment and the thinking, the societal constructs, right? Socially constructed ways of thinking and believing that relationship is supposed to be. Okay? You got to experience relationship to find out what relationship is supposed to be. You can't just sit down and let somebody tell you, what it's going to be, because it could be different for everybody. But if you're taught everybody lies, everybody schemes, everybody scams, you're going to be on your toes and you're not going to come into the relationship authentically. More swords. We have the Six of Swords here. Yeah, like you walk away, not walk away, but when you go out in life, right, you set out in life with the things that you've been taught and told, right? That's what represents here. Like, the swords are in front and they're moving along. It's like the things that you've been taught and told throughout life, that's what you run through life with. But you have to experience life for yourself. You can't just allow what people have told you about relationships be the only cold, hard facts. Okay? And maybe this message is helping to add to some more information to take into further relationships in the future, okay? Rather than being stuck, okay? stuck with these ideals and beliefs that aren't creating harmony in relationships, but perpetuating ideals that you have to be secretive or something, right? Because somebody's always trying to get you. Like that kind of paranoia and anxiety doesn't belong in a loving, harmonious situation or relationship or community, okay? You can't bring that energy into this, all right? You go with what you know until you learn something better. And I think that's what, this time or this awakening or what people may be feeling is moving towards. Like you go with what you know, you find out what doesn't work, you gain more information and you run with that. And you allow that to take you to a better situation. I'm really looking at the imagery of this card here where it's like choppy waters on this side. Like you see the corner where it's like, right here, these waves, and where it's like smooth over here. Like you're moving into smoother sailing, you know what I'm saying? But also with the child and the image here too, this goes back to childhood. So like the ways that we think stem in our childhood as well, and the environments we grew up in and the ways that we were taught and told relationship is supposed to go. And for some people, those were not the right things. Just because somebody older told you something because that's what they believe might not have been the right thing. And we have to consider that. We have to consider the things that we were taught and told may not have been right, may not have been correct, may not have been true. Okay? You grow up to start to think for yourself and have your own experiences so that you can find what this means for you. Peace.